Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. A bit of a weird one because I'm recording this right after we did the Cassiopeia casual champion review because I was just kind of in a good mood, had all the fellas together, and I kind of wanted to play some Cho'Gath, I've got to admit. It's also going to be a bit of a weird episode because usually when I do these casual champion reviews, I make some notes about my general thoughts about the champion, so it becomes a bit easier for me to talk about the character while I'm playing the game. I don't think I'm going to be doing that today. There's a reason why I don't usually record champions back-to-back because I don't have the notes for the next character. With Cho'Gath, I don't really think I'm going to need any notes because, well, there's not a lot to him. You know what there is a lot of, though? Fan art section. I'm recording this the day of instead of when I actually record this because I did record the casual champion review 2 weeks ago today. So, look at all this stuff. It's great. Look at all the shoes. Shoes the size of Texas. That was a throwaway line. Some people made some fan art of that. That's great. It's awesome. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. All right. Well, Cho'Gath. I guess to start things off, his lore. So Cho'Gath's design. Yeah, you guys already know. Cho'Gath does not exist. Cho'Gath is, in the lore, technically a world-eating abomination whose goal is to eat the universe. But that's all it says. It doesn't say really where he's from, what his actual personality is like, what his goals are, anything really. It just says that he's gonna eat the world one day. People complain about Shaco's lore being bare bones and nothing, but at least he has a little bit of backstory. If you look on the bio, Cho'Gath's bio is like 60% explaining what the Void is. Cho'Gath as a character in universe does not exist, technically. Same with Corky, same with Shaco, but for them it's because they don't have any interactions. For Cho'Gath, he's just kind of, I hesitate to say, a hypothetical character. And unfortunately, unlike older champions like Jax or Alistar or even a Mumu who got that music video, all those characters get lore updates or new biographies or short stories, and Cho'Gath has gotten nothing. I think the most extra things Cho'Gath has seen was showing up in the very, very old cinematic back when the League of Legends was still canonical. At that moment, Cho'Gath was just one of those characters like Nocturne or Fiddlesticks where the League of Legends was canon and they just threw champions in to fight for political power and gain, or if they were a monster like those three, they're just thrown in there because the summoners didn't know what else to do with them. So congratulations, Godzilla's in your game. So we're already through the lore section, a good like couple minutes into the game, to be expected because he has no lore. But I'm going to offer a little bit of my own lore because it helps, I guess, kind of explain where I'm coming from with this character. Way back in the far off distant past of 2010 or 2009, one of those years, and a good friend of mine came over to visit one day. I live out in the country at this point, so I don't have great access to internet, but he does want to show me this cool new game he found called League of Legends. And I was really interested. I never heard of a MOBA before. I don't play many video games at this point outside of Mario Kart or Smash Brothers Brawl, basically. Well, this friend of mine, we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and he says, no, you're going to want to see this because there's something in here you're going to like. So my friend boots up League of Legends, goes into a custom game, and he picks Cho'Gath. And I think, wait a second. This character's playable? Most of the time when you have characters in games, especially at this point, they're all humans. They're big buff soldier dudes or sexy women. That's kind of all it is and all I've known for a while. That's why a lot of characters don't, I guess, intrigue me very much. Well, I did have a bit of a fascination with him at first. What really got me is he showed me Cho'Gath's ult and the ability to gain stacks and become larger. And that was it. 10 years later, 13 years later, here I am, still playing Cho'Gath to this day, one of my highest mastery champions, because, well, they put Godzilla in League of Legends, and I love Godzilla, I love giant monsters and monsters in general. I was hooked. I couldn't believe they had a playable character in a game like that. It doesn't really happen very often. So there's a reason I'm pretty passionate about wanting Cho'Gath to get a proper VGU, because as I just said, he is technically the character that got me into League of Legends. Not the first one I played, granted. That was Blitzcrank. I feel like I should have mentioned that in the Blitzcrank casual review, but Cho'Gath was the character. Cho'Gath was the character that got me into League of Legends and started me down this path of, well, becoming a YouTuber based solely around League of Legends content. So you can thank Cho'Gath for annoying you constantly, I guess. Now, it's not to say Cho'Gath isn't horribly flawed. I think we all know that. Cho'Gath is not exactly the most well-defined character. Again, through story, he's barely seen anything, but also through design. Cho'Gath was one of the original 40 champions back then. Riot didn't really care about challenging archetypes or making new ones. It was just, hey, you know those tried and true character types? We're just going to do 1,000 times. The Minotaur character, the pirate, the archer. Like, as basic and bland as you can get. But Cho'Gath, he's supposed to be the Zergling, I guess. Any generic purple bug alien creature. On top of that, I mean, look at his head. That's just the Violator from Spawn. Joke's been made 1,000 times, but it is. It is carbon copy ripped from the Violator from Spawn. They slapped it on a bug alien. Ironically, I think that's going to be the hardest part about reworking Cho'Gath, because his head shape is the most iconic part about him. Design-wise. What's been said about Cho'Gath's design has been said 1,000 times. It's not original in any capacity. He is one of the most copy-paste characters in the entire game. I still hold a nostalgic connection to him, of course. I love the idea of having a playable Godzilla character. It's why I wanted to get a rework so badly, because I want to see that fully realized. It was helped a lot back in the day, because if you fellas don't remember, way back in the day when Cho'Gath was just starting out and a lot of mechanics weren't fresh yet, and we didn't have a billion dashes to dodge his Q, Cho'Gath still had the stacking mechanic with his ult, but he used to lose half his stacks upon death, like how Medjai's works. I don't remember if he could still go up to 10. I think the maximum was 6 still, but regardless, you could do all that work, farm all those minions and all those champions for your stacks, and he would just lose them the moment you died, which really sucked, especially if you're playing tank Cho'Gath, who's supposed to be the front line. I'm not playing tank Cho'Gath this game, of course, because if I'm going to play Cho'Gath the right way, I'm going to be playing full AP mid lane, because it's funny, even if tank Cho'Gath works really well. He's an old character, one that I would definitely like to see get reworked. I feel like at this point, though, I don't know if it's even going to happen. I'm going to say it. I think Cho'Gath getting a rework is a near impossibility. We've seen with Riot, especially now, one, they're slowing down on VGUs in general. They don't like focusing on champions that have a ton of skins in reworks. They don't like focusing on champions that have legendary skins. They don't like focusing on champions that have multiple forms, which is something that we'd want to see with Cho'Gath. And overall, if you see with ASUs, they're going to probably prioritize doing those more over VGUs nowadays, because Cho'Gath's gameplay has held up surprisingly well, I think. He's very simple, but everything flows together really nicely. Granted, they did change his E. His E used to be a toggle instead of just the actual ability that it is now. And I know that kind of sounds sad to hear, because I did make that video, how long ago? Almost 2 years ago now, saying that I was absolutely positive Cho'Gath was going to be getting a VGU, and turns out not true. The champion who was getting the secret VGU was very probably Jax, since now he's randomly getting a visual update after getting a gameplay update only a few months back, and this little fishing minigame had code that said it was linked to a VGU on it or something. Regardless, that was deeply upsetting, because I really want to see Cho'Gath get that VGU, but it's too much work for Riot, I think. I think Riot doesn't see the investment or see it worthwhile to update a champion like Cho'Gath. They'd rather put their money into updating Teemo or Lee Sin, or a really popular champion that they know has a lot of skins, but is going to sell a lot more skins in the future. Not saying Cho'Gath skins can't be good. He's held back a lot by his model, but Cho'Gath is an old champion and as such has a lot of skins, and many that change a lot of his animations, 2 legendaries in fact. It sounds kind of ironic to say, but I actually think Darkstar Cho'Gath destroyed any hope of him getting the VGU he deserves. That sounds kind of weird, because that is one of Cho'Gath's best skins. I don't know if it's better than Broken Covenant. I think that might be his best now. But the thing that Darkstar Cho'Gath introduced was form changing as he gets stacks, which plenty of champions have forms or alternate stances or little ghoulies. But the idea of Cho'Gath actually evolving as he levels up, even in a minor way, that's the thematic you want to nail on Cho'Gath. You want to get this small little creature that eats and eats and eats and gets better and bigger and stronger as it adapts and evolves over time to become this massive kaiju, because at the beginning of the game, seeing Cho'Gath in his normal state with his little baby tiny guy, it looks kind of goofy and silly, when that's not the kind of tone you really want to have for Cho'Gath. So I feel like introducing that in Darkstar Cho'Gath was a great call. It looks fantastic, and one of the reasons it is so great, but I think it hurt Cho'Gath's chances of getting a VGU, Oh no. But it hurts Cho'Gath's chances of getting a VGU because now that's what we'd expect from a VGU, right? If he got that proper rework and model update, we want to see that evolution, not only in every single skin, but expanded and made more in-depth, like make it an actual miniature creature when he's starting out and get bigger as he goes along instead of just adding some golden spikes to him like it does with Darkstar. And doing at minimum 3 forms per skin when he has like 10 skins, 2 of them being legendaries. Although Gentleman Cho'Gath just changed his voice filter, I'd imagine they'd probably up it a lot more like they did with Surprise Party Fiddlesticks. But I just think it's too much effort. To get it done right, to do it properly, and to make sure that everything about Cho'Gath that people would want, but also on a reasonable time and a reasonable budget, I just don't think it's happening. I don't think Riot sees the value in updating Cho'Gath like that. It sucks because, you know, I love him. I love the idea that we have a playable kaiju champion in League of Legends. There's no one in the game like Cho'Gath in that regard, except maybe Malphite. I think if you gave Malphite a rework, you could expand on that of him being the living mountain, but in a MOBA, you have to be restrictive on size, right? Asol's supposed to be the size of the planet, and a lot of 80 carries are bigger than he is. I don't think it's impossible for him to get a VGU, but in the current state Riot's in and the kind of work ethic they have at the moment, less than 1 VGU a year. We're getting no ASUs this year. Although we got Ari, but she was close to about last year. But in the state of champion updates, Cho'Gath will be lucky to get anything in the future. I think his gameplay, like I said, it's held up okay over time. He's a very simple, very beginner-friendly champion. Sometimes to his deficit, he does often feel like you are playing on 300 ping. Like, look at this Misfortune. She's so fast. Trying to hit champions with any kind of movement speed on this character is insane. I would love if his Q got bigger as he got bigger, but I know that's not really going to happen. If you did get reworked, the most iconic thing you have to keep gameplay-wise is the munch, or some variation of him eating the opponent and getting larger and getting stronger from eating them. I feel like Cho'Gath could do with a full gameplay makeover, though I would be worried, much like they said they wanted to do with kog'maw, what the hell, that if they did rework Cho'Gath, they'd remove the option for the different variety of builds, right? I love that you can go tank Cho'Gath, you can go full AP Cho'Gath, you can even go a weird Titanic Hydra AD Cho'Gath with Hail of Blades. That's a really fun build. I was debating doing that this game, but mid lane so much more relaxing than top lane. If I'm gonna play these casual champion reviews, I'd rather play mid. Like Riot 7, they were proposing the changes they do for kog'maw. If he won the poll, they'd probably sacrifice AP kog'maw in favor of making only the AD one good, which, nah, man. I like a bit of variety in the builds. They don't have to be Kaisa level, where it's ungodly broken, regardless of what she does. Just give me the option. Give me the option to go funny AP off meta, or go like AD Cho'Gath, or full AP Kog'maw. Like, let me have the option. It doesn't have to be the best in the world. Just variety in League of Legends. That's probably one of the best parts about it. I honestly feel like we're a bit at the end of the road here. I don't know what else I can say about Cho'Gath, because he doesn't have very much to him. Though, we have been baited so many times by Cho'Gath getting a potential VGU. The TFT set where they showed there's a concept artist who made a fan-made Cho'Gath VGU and then got hired by Riot, and then that Cho'Gath design showed up in the TFT cinematic, and everyone thought, oh, we're gonna get Cho'Gath rework, it's coming. Nope, it's not real, just like this rat. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else I can say about Cho'Gath. I'm not sure how long this game's going to go on for. We're doing really well right now. We got a lot of stacks. So I suppose I'll just call it here and just cut the parts of the game that I find interesting. How's it going, Pyke? Don't mind me. That was a good hit. Oh. Wow. That was a lot of counterplay, I think. Oh, I think the game's ending at long last. Let me eat you, Pykel. Alright. Well, that's fine. I didn't want to eat you anyway. Oh, no. Oh, my God. I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to test the... Oh, well. Thank you for coming to this casual champion review, fellas. I'll see you next week. Can't type GG for some reason. I'll see you next week with the Corkster. Alright.